Once upon a warm summer afternoon, in a town where weddings were the heartbeats of every season, a young woman named Alina found herself caught in an unexpected twist of fate, one that began so innocently yet carried the weight of destiny in its folds. Her cousin, Miriam, a professional wedding photographer, had been booked to cover one of the grandest ceremonies of the season, the wedding of a senator's daughter to a wealthy businessman, a gathering of elegance, power, and luxury where every detail sparkled with perfection. But just 2 days before the event, Miriam fell sick with a severe fever, unable to even lift her camera, let alone manage an entire wedding shoot, and in her desperation, she turned to Alina, her sweet but untrained cousin who had always admired photography as a hobby. "Please, Alina, just this once, fill in for me. It's only about handling the booth, taking candid shots, and making sure the families get what they want. I know you're not a pro, but you've always had the eye, and I trust you," Miriam pleaded, her voice hoarse yet hopeful, and though Alina was hesitant, knowing she lacked the polish of a professional, she couldn't bear to see her cousin lose such a prestigious client, so she agreed, unaware that this single decision would alter the course of her life. On the day of the wedding, the garden was dressed like a dream with ivory roses cascading from arches, fairy lights strung like fallen stars, and rows of guests dressed in their finest. Yet while everyone came to celebrate love, Alina came with trembling hands holding Miriam's expensive camera, telling herself she only needed to make it through the evening without disaster. But as fate would have it, destiny had plans far beyond mere survival, for among the guests sat a man whose presence outshone even the groom's best men, a man of striking charisma wrapped in a tailored navy suit, his hair perfectly set yet softened by the gentleness in his eyes whenever they drifted to the little girl sitting beside him, a child no older than 4 dressed in a white frock with a bow in her hair, giggling every time her father whispered something to her. That man was Ayaan Malik, a self-made billionaire CEO who had built his empire brick by brick after starting with nothing, admired for his brilliance, feared for his discipline, and yet known only to a few as a single father raising his daughter after losing his wife in a tragic car accident 3 years earlier. And though many whispered about his reserved nature and the wall he kept around his heart, no one could deny the softness he carried for his little girl, Zoya, who was his entire world. Alina, busy trying to frame shots, noticed him only by accident, when Zoya ran into her booth, fascinated by the shiny camera. "Pretty camera. Can I see?" she asked with innocent delight, and Alina, charmed by the child's curiosity, knelt to show her how the lens worked, snapping a playful photo of Zoya's wide-eyed wonder, and it was in that small moment that Ayaan approached, his voice deep yet polite. "I hope she's not troubling you," he said, and when Alina looked up, meeting his eyes for the first time, her breath caught in her throat, not because of his wealth or status, which she didn't even recognize at first, but because of the warmth hidden in his gaze, the kind that made her feel as if the chaos of the wedding blurred into silence around them. "Not at all," she replied softly. "She's the sweetest little muse I've ever photographed," and Zoya beamed at the compliment, tugging at her father's hand. "Daddy, can she take more? Please." So with a reluctant smile, Ayaan agreed, watching quietly as his daughter posed with the innocence only a child could carry, while Alina clicked away, capturing not just images but fragments of joy frozen in time. Throughout the evening, their paths kept crossing, sometimes by accident, sometimes because Zoya would run to the booth just to sit by Alina, and each time, Ayaan found himself speaking a little more to this woman who seemed refreshingly real in a world of rehearsed smiles and practiced charm. She was nervous yet genuine, stumbling yet sincere, and something about that disarmed him in ways no boardroom negotiation ever could, while Alina, though flustered by his quiet intensity, found herself drawn to the vulnerability she glimpsed behind his confident exterior, a man strong enough to build an empire yet gentle enough to kneel down to tie his daughter's shoe without a second thought. As the night stretched on, Alina overheard whispers among guests about Mr. Malik, the billionaire, and realization struck her, leaving her stunned that she had been speaking so casually to a man of such stature. But strangely, it didn't change the way she saw him, because in her eyes he was not the CEO or the billionaire, but simply a devoted father and a man whose smile carried unspoken sorrow. When the ceremony ended and guests began to leave, Alina thought her part in his story was over. Yet fate wasn't done weaving its threads, for just as she was packing the booth, Ayaan returned, his daughter fast asleep in his arms, and he asked quietly, "Would you mind sharing the photos you took of us? I don't often see her this happy, and you captured something precious." And though Alina could only nod, her heart thundered with an emotion she couldn't name, unaware that this simple exchange was the seed of something extraordinary, something that would challenge their worlds, test their hearts, and prove that love finds its way even through the most unexpected doors. And so, the night ended not with closure but with the first whisper of a beginning, a story just waiting to be written, one photo, one smile, one heartbeat at a time. And if you've been captured by this first chapter of Alina and Ayaan's story, then make sure you subscribe to the channel right now, because the journey has only just begun, and trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next in